So here we go. We're going to jump into painting grapes. But you know what? It's not really a grape painting. What we're going to do is an abstract painting. It's really an abstract painting. Because, you know, it's just too common. It's sort of like painting, you know, the butterflies and the mushrooms and the things I objected to when I first started the red barns. I'm going, I'm not going to paint all that hokey stuff. But now I love grapes and I love butterflies. So I'm kind of sorry I said those bad things. Apologize to everybody who all loves that subject. But it was an attitude that was popular in my day. I couldn't help it.
One of my art teachers painted watercolor because everybody went out and painted barns.
Yeah.
When they paint watercolor.
Oh gosh. So if it's helpful, I did give you one of my little printouts that I frequently use when I'm working with a abstract theme. So a lot of people think abstraction is just stick it anywhere you want. You know, you just take some objects and you just glue it down anywhere you want. And see, I'm going to encourage you to work with collage paper today. So for example, if I do a traditional kind of cruciform design, I think most of you are pretty familiar with what a cruciform design is. That's where you have a vertical shape and you also have a horizontal shape. Where the two interlock, you do the most development, the most interesting parts. You don't want this to happen right in the middle. That would be boring. You're dividing it into quarters. So you generally do it at the 1/3 or over here at the 1/3 or over here. So now here we have the law of thirds, where you break up in thirds, and then you try to get the most interesting part to happen at one of these intersections. And so if you look at these, they're kind of like the 1/3, but then I just have a little fun drawing these interesting little things. So when I'm doing today's, the beginning of my lesson, I'm going to treat this like an abstraction. And so I'm going to pick, I think I'm going to do this one right here, where I'm going to come in, and then I'm going to go up to the top of my picture, drop down, go across, and maybe go out here, and maybe take out some darks over here in the corner. So this would be my horizontal. And then I'm going to come down and I'm going to develop a vertical thrust. So I'm going to come down here, cross over, interlock with this. See, this is where it really gets interesting. Thank you. This is where it really gets interesting. See, we're going to now develop some dark and light patterns. And then I'm going to have areas that are restful. If you stick something all over the place, and this has been a problem just recently with this particular lesson, people got too busy. You know, I showed them how to do too many things, and they ran out of space. Next thing you know, they had the whole thing covered. So I do want you to make a real effort to save some areas. And so, for example, I look now at my 4 corners. Ooh, I better close this in a little bit here, and I'll make this more of a square. But I think I'll leave this. It's kind of a long rectangle. And over here, what will I do? I think what I'll do is I'll make this corner dark. That'll make it different because the others are light. And maybe I'll make this one gray, just a little bit lighter. So this is the kind of thought process I do when I start even something like grape painting. So now another thing I want to encourage is that before you start your picture, I want you to maybe think about doing some drawings, either the shape or in the case of this. In the case here where I did this is a 1/3 size. Remember the turd? This is a 10. You get 3 of these out of a full sheet by 15. And it's a really super idea to come in and do a format in this unusual shape. It also would be fabulous coming down as a vertical. Now, I don't usually demonstrate verticals because, you know, you can't see them. So I do a lot of horizontal things, but when I'm not under the camera, I do a lot of verticals too. And I think this is kind of cool, the idea of having some interlocking vines. And when I was over in, I found this on the floor, and I must have been eating grapes. And it's just dried up. It's like a perfect little stencil. So I'm gonna use that too. And just for your information, I gave you this hokey little handout, because one of the interesting things is that the vines that you have supporting the grapes, when they're really old, I mean, this was a grapevine that I saw at a convent over in France where I took a group. And they, honest to God, do this. They make turns, and then they get knobby shapes, and then they go turn again, then they turn again and turn again. They do not go in a straight row. So that's what I'm going to use for my idea. I'm going to take this little drawing I did, and I'm going to keep this handy. I'm not going to be a slave to it, but I'm just going to make this available so that while I'm doing this, I can think about what it is, what's my goal? What am I trying to accomplish here in this abstract painting? So I've got my little thing here, and then you can see I'm doing it on stretched paper. So this is a half-sheet size paper that's been wet on the back and stapled on the edges, and we just use those store-bought push them together corners. They're really great. And I'm ready to start. I'm pretty excited about this. And I'm going to start mine by drawing in some vines first. But I'm going to make the vines kind of fit this pattern I started. So I'm just going to, see, you can just turn these around any way you want. So I'm just going to have this come in. And I actually stood out in the courtyard and saw this vine growing. I couldn't believe it. Then I'm going to come down here, twist it around a little bit. See, I'm kind of following that idea. And then I'm going to go out here. Now this is in pencil. I can change it if I need to. So I'm going to start here. Usually as you go, as it turns, it will have a little knobby, extra knobby part here. A little bit knobbier. How fun is this? And then it might get a little thinner over here as it advances. And then the thing that really intrigued me was there was another vine that had actually interlocked around it. So see, this whole idea of possibly doing an interlocking vine, that's something I can do later. But if I want to, I could do a little bit of it now and just make that up too. So I think it's kind of fun. And make that skinnier. And then when I paint it, I generally make this vine that's interlocking, goes over the top on one and under on the other. So it's under, over kind of thing. And I make this vine a different value. If this is a warm color, I'll make this a cool color. If this is light, I'll make this dark. So I just try to go, you can see here even in the drawing, I try to get a variety. And then when you're doing the leaves, we are actually going to work with these leaves I picked off the tree. And so these leaves are right in your face. Every one is coming forward, because that's the way you get the best presentation with the paint. But you can see they also come on the side, and they come, you know, look, you can look at these in so many different ways. And of course, when they're growing, they actually turn like this. So you might see the front of the leaf over the back of the leaf. So it's just something you can add later, something to think about. And when you put your grapes in, very often I'll just put my grapes in and they're all over the place. We don't have any stems. We don't have any way to be supported. And you know what? I don't care. Here's kind of a good example. You can see here I came in with the vine. I overlapped some grapes in a part of a leaf. Got another leaf and another leaf and more grapes. So the vine thing is just a structure that you build this on. And see, there's nothing supporting my grapes yet. There's one. And sometimes I worry about it and sometimes I don't. And Jody, look what's here. A butterfly. And you can see the collage papers. I really, really like the writing, especially something silly like a butterfly. And here's like a stamp that you would find at a post office. And then some of these are just simply color that I liked, color that related to the colors I chose. So this is basically two colors. It's Quin Burnt Orange and Antwerp Blue. When you put those two colors together, you get an incredibly beautiful gray-green. And I think I'm going to use that same combination again today. It's one I love. You can see when I came in with the quinacridone burnt orange, it was all pure color that I just laid down into my path of movement. So see, when I come in later now with some of these designs I have, those are going to connect. I don't just stick that orange anywhere I want to. I put it in a path. It starts at the edge of the paper, and then it comes down and links to the other side of the paper, and then it comes across and links to the other side. So it literally moves through the picture. And see, then you still have areas where nothing's happening, and you want to keep those rest areas are important. And like I said earlier, try to make every corner of your picture a little different, so that you're entertaining your viewer. You don't want them to get bored. And here's some, it's really important to think about color dominance. Now when I first started doing these great paintings, I don't want to tell you how many years ago, it's been a good ride. I've had a lot of fun with this lesson. But see, here's a color dominance, definitely cool. And it's basically the blue, green, and yellow. So it's a very close harmonic relationship. And in the old days, I used to wet the whole paper, and you can see the leaves have a lot more color in them. I've changed the lesson for today. We're going to put our leaves down on dry paper, and they're going to stand out a lot more. Here the color was wet when I put down the grape leaf, and it bled underneath. Now here's another one that has a dominance of warm. So this is actually the color combination I'm going to use today, and it's the Quin Burnt Orange dominating over the blue, which has got just enough blue to give us a little green.
Which blue did you use?
Pardon?
Which blue did you use?
Antwerp Blue. And here it is again. You can see those are my favorite colors. This is really fun. Again, my grapes are not supported. I'm just starting in here with a few little shapes. Sometimes I don't give them any support. Like I kind of like this, just getting lost into this color sanded area. And I love subtle color changes where we go from the green into the gold, back into the green, into the blue. So we'll be doing a lot of that throughout. And then I came in, so we're just going to do an underpainting, and I want everything soft. Your first, this morning, it's going to be all soft and wet. And then in the afternoon, I'm going to come in and talk about building shapes into it and building contrast, darks, but saving some lights, but building up a pattern of darks that entertain the viewer. Here's another one. This one here is what we call a full gallery wrap. It's actually a full sheet of paper. It's on a support here of wood, and it's a full sheet of paper, and it actually is painted along on the sides too. Isn't that cool? Mm-hmm. And I decided just to stretch it into this smaller frame. And the good news is, when you see the whole picture, you still get paid for that part. Because when I sell this, I sell it by the square inch. So I figure out the square inch here and the square inch here, and that's the price. So it's almost priced the same as a full sheet, but it visually and physically is a smaller presentation.
Did you paint it first and then stretch it, or did you?
I did on this one.
Okay.
I painted this first and then stretched it. The one I'm gonna paint on today, I stretched it first. Either way, it doesn't make any difference. But you can see how nice it is to have the leaves a little bit lighter. In this one, I chose to do a big shape, not just little cut shapes, but big shapes that come in. But they still form a horizontal and a vertical. It's still a variation of a cruciform. And this one, I'm not done with this one yet. I'm gonna lift out some more grapes into this area, and I'm gonna put a wine glass over here to, see, we got the bottle and the wine. I want a nice wine glass, partly full right here. So I'm gonna draw that in and paint and show you how you can make a lot of changes later, where you put color down and take it away. See, these little shapes here were actually lifted out later with a stencil. So there's all kinds of little tricks coming up. Here's another one that's kind of cool. And you can see now, finally I did some different colors. These are the pink grapes. This is the one I was looking for. See, this has got the white webbing spray that I put on later. Do you see the white? And then we also have some color that I just scribbled on here. These are those watercolor crayons that I just scribbled on later. Some of these are actual leaves that I cut out of a napkin. Now, is that not disgusting? That is a leaf off a napkin. It's as bad as a butterfly. What the heck, okay? So I did a little drawing. I've got the wrap, I've got the leaves, and then we're gonna get going here. But there's so many tricks later where you can lift color, add color, color sand. This was lifted out with a Mr. Clean Magic Eraser and a stencil. So, okay, we're ready to go. Now the next thing we want to do is, I want to tell you a few more things that are really important to know. And one of them is, when the grapes grow, they hang off the vine, they overlap. Grapes overlap and they line up. And you want it to look really different. One of the big problems that we have is people put their grapes like this. Perfect, perfect. I mean, you could play Chinese checkers. They're so perfect. So I want you to really work. How can I make each grape a little different? Oh, I think I'll put a grape under a grape. I think I'll leave an open space. Put one over here, maybe another one over here, and maybe I'll interlock two here. So when you're doing this, watch it. And grapes generally grow in this kind of triangular thing. So again, be careful that you don't just make these into a little ball all over the place. Try to get that elongated, stacked look. So they are kind of long. And I thought this was kind of fun. It just adds a little humor. The fact that somebody ate those grapes. So I got a few, and I love this. You know, you could have something hanging where they're all eaten. I think it's kind of fun.
Indicates you've got rats.
Or that's the other possibility, if they're on the vine.
Yeah.
But in the house, it's usually a person or the dog.
I had a grapevine growing on my backyard, and it had grapes that were just about ripe. And we went away for the weekend, it came back, and every single one of them was gone.
Oh, that's a horror
Just
story.
little stems.
Yeah, Eddie looked just like this.
Yeah.
So we have a grapevine that's it's a wild. I mean, it's gone. It's up in the trees right now.
Oh yeah.
So all the grapes are up there, but the pelleted woodpeckers just love them. So we
Yeah.
that's our pelleted thing. So when the grapes get ripe, they'll be, you know.
Yeah. Well, you know, for years and years, the way I stayed sane, having 3 kids under 3, and staying at home with them day after day, hour after hour. Oh God. No way, sir. And having a busy husband who was just never home. You know, he just was so busy, and he was active with the community. So it was basically my job. But that's all it was. That's all it was back in those days. And I made wine was my sanity. I would sit and watch those jars bubbling. And I read, you know, the Herters, what's the name of that catalog? Bradley would know. Anyway, it gave you, but all the wine equipment, I used to kill all the yeast that came naturally, and then basically sterilized the fruit, and then you use that to clean your bottles too. So the sulfates that everybody doesn't want, I used to do that to make it really good. My wines were really good. And then I inverted the sugar, so it was a liquid, and you add it at 3 intervals and you get the alcohol content higher. I had things to judge the alcohol content, and I kept records, and I made wine out of grapes, rutabagas, old tea bags, you name it.
Dandelions?
Dandelions. I paid the kids a nickel a jar, and they couldn't pick anything but the head. They had to do a good job, and I gave them a nickel. So I tell you,
If this art thing doesn't work out, I can start doing that.
it kept me sane, honest to God. I just loved it. It was so much fun. And we didn't even drink the wine. My husband thought he was gonna go blind if he drank it, so he didn't need to drink it. My dad came over and he and I would drink it. And another interesting thing about grapes, not only this and the vines, is they have these curly, twisty things that happen and hang down. And this is kind of fun. Oh, Erin, you are getting quite an education here. Who needs to go to school?
Are those like dried up vines?
No,
What are those?
these are very fresh, and you can pull them and they spring back. They're just hanging.
That's what they use to grab onto the support.
Yep, this is how they climb. That's why his are up in the tree. Okay, so I've got enough information here now. And one of the things I want you to do is use wax paper. And what you do is you just take the wax paper, fold it up, and then you should do this before you start. And fold it about the size of your grapes. And then using a pair of scissors, what I do is I cut these into little squares. I used to try to cut them with holding on to this. So much easier if you just cut a little square first. And then you just come in and cut out either a round or an oval, whatever your preference is. Try to keep them somewhat similar, although obviously the grapes on a vine aren't all exactly the same. They're different stages of development. And when you're cutting this out, see, you're cutting out a whole bunch at once. Look how many I've got here. And then get your little pile ready. So that's number one. And then preparing if you're going to do a collage, which I'm planning to do, then you need to have a glue. And my favorite glue is the Yes Paste. And this is incredible glue, archival. For a long time it wasn't archival. And the artist complained, and it is now 100% archival. And it's very thick, it's like a paste. It's like that paste we got years ago on a little piece of paper on our wooden desk. That's so funny.
Some kids ate.
And then we ate it, I've never tasted the Yes Paste. I don't know if it's any good. And you can see here, it's really quite thin. It's not thin enough though. You want it to penetrate these lightweight napkins and collage papers that we've chosen to use. And if it's too thick, it just sort of lays on top. It has to penetrate through the paper and adhere to your paper.
Is that like a milk consistency?
It's like a milk, yep. Now there's a little container in here that I'm too cheap to throw it away. I'm getting all the glue out of it. So if you're wondering what's in here, it's my dispensing cup. Oh, that's funny. Okay, it was stuck in there this morning. I've been mixing this for a while. So the Yes Paste is something you kind of want to prepare this maybe 2 days ahead of time. If it's completely solid, I put a little water in it and just let it slake down. And I only activate the top, and then as it continues to, every time I use it, I pour more water, and it just eventually, right now I'm at the bottom. This is very unusual. But see, I've been using a lot. Okay, this is about perfect now. I love it. Woo! Okay, and the other thing I want to think about is the placement of my leaves. Now, does anybody see a problem with this design?
Yes.
I think so.
I have seen it on a number of occasions. So what I want you to do is, think about your pattern of movement, and when it's time to put in your leaves, I'm also going to think about where am I going to place these. And in this case, here's my little design, move that in. I'm actually going to be placing them in and out of this. And I do like to have some of these leaves that actually go right over the edge of the paper, interlocking. This one's too pretty. It's kind of a big one too. Ooh. I usually only do about one big one. So this is going to be the star of my show here. There we go. Then this cute little one coming down. And it's a good idea to have some that are interlocking. Now here's one that's kind of broken off. This could look like it's going underneath here.
Can they be reused, Karlyn, or no?
They could, but you know what? There's so many of them.
Okay.
I wouldn't do it. I would just, I've got more leaves than this we needed too.
I
So
won't
you only
use all
need-
of mine either.
What's that?
I won't use all of mine.
No, and you have more than you need. So now you can see I have a variety of leaves. I really like also overlapping and interlocking some of them. And later, after we lift everything, actually you would just make the leaf that's behind a little darker, and this will pop out as coming forward. Right now it doesn't look like it, but it's something you deal with later. So I think this is enough for leaves. I might decide to add another. And so I kind of got this design in mind. And if you have a bad memory, what you could do is take a picture of it. You guys know when you open your iPhone, you do this, you're immediately in your camera. And see, I can take a picture of my little design. Ha! Because I'm gonna take it away now. And the first thing I want to do is I want to develop some of these collage papers that we talked about. And it's very important that you keep these papers light. Don't, whatever you do, don't get dark ones. See how mid-tone this is? And I think it's pretty cool because it's got this writing on it. Could you hear the crispiness in this paper? This is not as fine a paper.
Is that a napkin?
No, it's a store-bought, you can buy this on the internet.
Oh.
I don't know where to get it, I'd like to get some more, it's really nice. But see, I like the writing and the lines. So in my little pattern that I just covered up here, in my little pattern here, I'm going to start gluing down some of these papers. And what I want to do is think about where do I want these papers? Okay, I want different sizes. With this particular glue or paper, I have to put the glue first. And then I put it down, I do it on top. And see, it's really, really important to get a good bond. So I'm going to put this down. That's not enough. I have to use a nice flat brush, press from the center out. That paper is on there perfectly, perfectly. I love it. Now, this is a napkin, and what I did is I took the time before class and I actually opened these napkins up. And I just pulled off the backing, see? But aren't they pretty? And they're all light. Ooh. And see that bird? I'm not gonna put that bird down. What I'm gonna do is use that color. It has to do with the color, not with anything else. And when you're separating these, this is kind of interesting. See, now I'm down to the last one. And as this, every now and then, if you get a really good napkin, which this evidently is, look at what we have here. We have a ghost. And these are really pretty. So I'm just gonna show you. And this is so lightweight. I don't have to glue first. I just glue on top. See how nice that ghost is? Say yes.
Yes. Very nice.
Hello, is anybody out there?
We're waking up here.
It's so fascinating, right?
Oh, so fascinating. That's gotta be it. So I really like the Gauze. And see, it's very soft, very subtle. Now, it may absorb a lot of paint and it might not be subtle after I start painting, but for now I'm liking it. So I'm gonna do a little bit more with the Ghost and try to spread it around. Notice how every time I do this, it's a different shape. It's not the same size. And I overlap. I put papers down and I put more papers. See, I don't just stick it down like in the middle and I'm done. No, I'm thinking about the movement, the interlocking. I can go right over my drawing because I'm gonna be oops, this is the one I have to glue first and then put it down. And I love the lettering.
One of the other advantages about Yes Paste is that if later on you decide that you really hate whatever it was you put down, you can wet it and bring it back out.
And believe me,
nice.
it was like losing edges on our portraits yesterday. We removed a lot of this on a lot of people's pictures because they chose colors that were too dark. So I hope I've emphasized that enough, that you have to have colors. Oh, I keep forgetting to glue first. You have to have colors that are going to just sort of blend in with your choices, not take over. Okay, so I'm still thinking about my path of movement here. And see, I'd like to come down to the bottom. I'm gonna come down here to the bottom of my paper and go off the bottom now. Cool. Now I'm actually gonna use that paper that was, oh, look at the writing on here. Isn't this cool? Yes.
Yes.
Oh dear. We're all
Okay.
dead.
You go for a walk.
I know.
Okay, now this is just a napkin. I don't have to think about how heavy it is. It's interlocking and it says Paris, Paris. Ooh. Now this is starting to be a little on the dark side, but I'm very careful not to put too much. Ooh, and it's got another nice little circle form here. Very nice. So look at this. So these are just they might be flowers on the napkin, but for me, they're just interesting textures. So I'm almost done with my gluing. Don't want to overdo it, but if you happen to find like, oh, there's a cute little bird or something, what the heck for it. Might be what the buyer likes. They might buy it just for that bird. And then some of these have some of the same colors that I really want to get in my painting. So this is lovely. And I'm actually thinking about doing some straight shapes. So very often I'll glue something, usually at the third, I'll glue something that will become one of my straight shapes. So I might use the edge of this and just hope it's lined up, because I'm real good at having to fix it later. Oops, I didn't get it right. Oh gosh, okay. This is never gonna be, this isn't gonna be what I want. It's not too bad.
We know it's sticky.
My fingers are. Okay, and I'm gonna go off the page here. This will be my final one. So that's enough of that. Wasn't that fun? And then if you're trying to record this, what I would recommend is now you take a picture of the next step. This step. Just take a picture. And it's better than taking notes. Remember, if you want to open your camera, you just do this. And so this would be like step one. Now what I'm going to do is the actual stamping. And for this, what I want to do is I want to do it flat on a surface here. And I'll just get a little of the glue out of my brush. It won't hurt it, but why? I don't need it. And this is really important. You don't want to have you don't want this to be too wet. So I'm actually taking my brush and I'm wiping it on. I just wiped it. I'll have to do it like this so you can see. But I've wiped off my brush. Now I've actually taken off almost all the moisture. And then I'm going to go into my color. And to activate my color, when I start in the morning, because my paint is all dry, I do not like wet paint. So my paint, I allow it to dry, I keep the wells full. They're all organized, you know, into the proper triad, warm, cool colors. These are all cool colors, these are all warm colors. So it's real easy, I can just start grabbing. I love this circle. And so what I'm going to do now is not much moisture on my brush, there's a little bit here. So this is pure color. Remember I told you to activate it before? Don't do that, just come pure color today. And look at what's happening. It's going onto the back of the leaf. Really, really important.
That's the back of the leaf.
The back, and then the veins are much stronger there. Morning, Kristen. So this is Windsor yellow. I like to use a primary color. It's bright, and I see how I go right outside this, and then I usually remove this stem because this too will hold the leaf up so you're not getting the best contact. And then I'm going to add just a little bit of gold here and there, a stroke. And I'm going to put a little bit of quin burnt orange here and there. Not all over. So now I'm ready to do the stamping. Where did I put this? But that, it would be kind of fun to just get a reminder. So this was one of my focal leaves, and I wanted it over here. So I think I'll stick with that idea, right in here, approximately at the 1/3. See, and it's going right over some of those papers. That's good. So you just lay it on here, and then you take a tissue, press it down.
Oh, I see.
And my paper is dry except where this has been just recently glued. So I'm not sure what it'll do there, but we're gonna like it. Remember, we like everything we do. Now, by making this leaf light, what I'm doing is I'm going to remember to put darks behind it. So now I'm gonna take another leaf.
Did you say a Windsor yellow, quin burnt orange, and what was the other color you put in?
I'm gonna do it again. I'll
Okay.
show you.
Okay.
So now I have another leaf here, and I'm going to take, and I'm gonna wet my brush, wipe off the extra water. I'm going to go into my color. See, there's hardly any water on here, just enough so that I can really lay it on here.
And what color
It's
is that?
thick. This is
That's
Windsor
yellow.
yellow. Windsor yellow. Then I'm gonna go into some gold. I'm just gonna do a couple strokes and then
Gold?
some orange.
Quin
Quin
gold.
burnt orange.
Quin gold.
Yeah, okay.
Quin gold and quin burnt orange. And see, this is kind of cool. And these leaves can go any direction you want them. That's how they actually grow. So I'm gonna have this one interlocking the stem. And I need a tissue to press it down. I'm gonna remove this so it doesn't, and see these, oh, I probably got all the best leaves, too bad.
Oh,
Look at the holes.
we could make holes in ours.
You could eat them.
We can.
You can. And look at the veins on this, beautiful. So get rid of the stem, and I'm gonna quickly try to finish this up. Same thing, quin gold, lots of paint, not too much water. Take it all the way to the edge. Don't do it in your hand. Do it, oh, hello, it just jumped right up there. Do it on, oh, and I got a little red on it. Gosh, what's going on here? It's catchy. I got a little red on that one. We're gonna leave it. And then I'm gonna put a little gold right over that. And I don't put much extra color, just a little. Here, I think I'll put this one here. And see, they already look kind of cool, don't they? It's fun. See, look who's awake. Thank you.
Hi, Don. You're a good boy,
Hi there.
Don.
Yeah. Okay, cleaning my brush again. taking out another leaf on the back, getting rid of the little stem. Although people haven't saved those stems on there and it worked. So I'm consistent. I'm going to do all of my leaves light in color. So I'm using the Windsor yellow and a little bit of gold and a little bit of quin orange. And I'm consistently doing that with every single one. I'm gonna have 2 leaves interlocking here. Now, I've had people who just made their leaves any old color they wanted. And then later when they were painting around them, I'd say, well, what color's under that leaf? And they'd go, oh, I don't know. Maybe purple. No, I think yellow. And I go, well, you either have to make a little key, draw a little picture to remind yourself, or just make them all the same. So that you don't have, if this were dark and I put a dark next to it, I've lost it. You have to have a contrast. It's gotta be light against dark, dark against light. So that is why I make them all the same. I'm gonna do one more leaf somewhere up in here.
You had a little one right next to the big one.
Yeah, I did these two,
No,
but
I don't
they're,
mean connected.
yeah.
There,
So I'm gonna put some up here now, and I'm gonna go over this one. I'm gonna leave the stem on this one. I think that'll be cute. So see how I'm kind of following my pattern here? It's, well, how does this go? Like this.
Yes.
So it's coming around, going up off the top, coming off over here, and heading into the corner. So this is going to become even more important as we move along. So I have 2 more to do, and then I'm gonna wet the paper. Yeah.
Oh.
And that's really going to be where the fun starts. Oh, too wet. So I need to get more moisture off my brush, come in, and this has to be really, really paint, lots of paint, not much water. Here we have a little gold, here we have just a little orange. And this is going to just come in here, it's kind of cute, sticking out. I'm gonna leave that vine on there, I like it. So now we have 1 more to go and we're ready to go with color. And this is way too much fun. I think I'd get tired of doing this, but I never do because every time I do it a little differently. Make sure you're on the back of the leaf. The veining is much stronger there. And then a little gold and a little orange. We're ready to go. And I'm gonna stick this one partly over. And so these are like little arrows. See how they point in different directions? So I try to get, unless there's a strong wind that day, I try to get them all pointing in different directions. Because compositionally, I think it's more interesting. But I have seen them where they're all pointed the same way. Okay, now we're going to take some clean water. And we're going to wet this. Oh, love my little circle. Just turn it around, get some nice clean water. Using my 1.5 inch brush. And now I'm just going to come in over the paper. And when I get to the leaves, I kind of paint around them. And I'm gonna wet this whole thing. Go around the leaves, all the way to the edge of your paper.
A bit of the paint is coming out too.
What's coming out?
Paint, you can see it.
A little bit. It's okay.
But it's good.
Oh yeah, that's good. And see, what's going to happen is a lot of paint is going to go in. The paint moves in the water. So, and I always like to do my underpainting really wet. So please be generous here. Get wet. Don't use a little brush. Get a big brush. When I was in 1979, I did my first watercolor. It was never offered in college. This was something for little old ladies in tennis shoes. It wasn't art with a capital A in college. But the Watercolor Societies of America, there's 3 of them. AWS, of which he is a member. That is so huge. The National Watercolor Society and the Transparent Watercolor Society, which is the Midwestern one. And let me tell you, they have brought watercolor up to a capital A. It's really exciting.
The transparent one must be hard to see though, right?
No, they're beautiful. They did
Oh, that was a
Chinkachi.
joke.
Oh,
It's too early.
oh, that's good. Boy, did you get me? I didn't get it at all.
Well done.
Yeah, Chinkachi and another lady from northern Minnesota got together in her kitchen and they designed the idea of starting a National Watercolor Society in my lifetime. I think this is pretty exciting. And they designed it to be totally transparent. They even have a machine. So when you
really?
enter your piece, and if it gets accepted by the juror, it goes through a machine. If there's any white in there,
Wow.
or if you've used any paints that are somewhat opaque,
Oh, really?
and used too much, like cerulean blue, any of those colors, out it goes. Even if it's been juried in, if you use that, it's gotta be totally transparent. And there are very few shows like that. Some people don't even enter it because they're into mixed media. Because it's not their thing.
Much of a color, palette, let's put it that way, does it? If you're just using transparent.
That's all I'm using.
That's a-
Really?
My color palette is all transparent.
It is.
I love it. Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take a transparent quinacridone burnt orange. Activate it this time. See that? Activate it. And now I'm thinking about my little pattern up here, this little guy, and I'm going to look at that and I'm going to say, okay, I want to start thinking about designing some of this. So the color is going to come here. See that? I'm going to go up. I'm going to paint around. Oh, I just went into it, but that's okay. I'm going to paint around my stem. And this is one of my vines here. So I'm kind of painting around that, kind of. Don't have to worry about it too much. And then I want to connect this color over here to the edge.
So
When
you-
I get to a leaf, I go kind of outside. And see what's happening when I paint over these papers? See how they get darker? We like that too.
Yeah.
You're kind of painting a path.
I am definitely painting a path. I'm thinking about what's gonna, and now remember I wanted this corner all one soft color. So I'm gonna come in here with a soft color. So I think it's nice to have a plan, so you're not just, sticking color anywhere. You can do that if you want, I'm easy, but I just think it's good. Okay, now I'm gonna carry this color over. As soon as I get to my stem, I go around it. Vine, I should say. I go around it, I go around this. You see, I'm also trying to go around all of these leaves with color. Why?
It
So
pulls
they'll
it together.
pop.
So they'll pop because they're light. See, they're light. So I need to start building up darks around these guys. I'm gonna go up the bottom here. Now I don't want it to look just like a stencil, that's boring. You go around it like this. Can't do that, no. You have to come in and kind of link it to something, maybe the stem, maybe the edge of the paper. And then I'm starting to see some hard edges. So that means I am going to get, see now normally I wet the back of my paper as well as the front of my paper. And now I didn't because of this, the way it is. I kind of like that. So I'm gonna make sure that my edges are all soft because this is an underpainting. And I definitely want my edges soft at this stage. So I'm gonna spray into it. Can you see my path of warm color? It's pretty obvious. And I think I'm gonna come in now with just even darker, a little darker version. I want it to really sing. So here and there, I'm gonna pop a little bit more. Just richer, more color, less water. See, this is kind of a pretty area. So I'm just gonna add a little more paint here. Interlock it with the stem.
You'd want that in your focus area.
Right, that's what I'm doing. I'm popping it. You're good. We wanna get this in our focus area. Sometimes when I'm painting, you can't get your brain to engage too. It's
That's
hard.
been a good day.
Yeah.
What if you wanted to leave out part of it like the square look, like in that one where you paint outside the
Yep, then you design that ahead of time too. You can even use tape if you want to.
Is
Yeah.
that painted right on? Or is that separate? Never went up close to it.
It's taped
Okay.
and I painted up to the edge of the tape. So if you want to build in a structure, can you hand me that picture right there again, Donna Ray?
Oh, sure.
This, for example, here, I do this in I've got a DVD called My Favorite Lessons, and I do a breakout grape similar to this. It might even be this one. And then I do the turtle. Those two are my favorite lessons. And I actually taped this with just a masking tape, but I didn't here. I just let the well, that's it. That's my shape, this shape. And then this was the breakout, this corner and this bigger one here. And I actually did these grapes with a wine cork. So usually I have an assignment the night before we do grapes. You have to drink wine and bring in a cork.
Do the new plastic corks work?
They work, yeah, they do.
What's
And-
the cork?
Give me yours on the side.
Where's the
The
cork?
motor box doesn't work too good.
Where's
I
the
like the
cork?
sign
A lot
view.
of wines are using those plastic.
I don't. So here you can see, oh, sorry, go.
I'm sorry, where's the cork? Or what were you
Any
saying?
of these outside.
Oh, I see.
This one, I don't,
I
I can
see.
see, I didn't do corks on this one, they're round.
I get it.
But I had oval grapes, so I couldn't use it on this one. But you can just stamp them, and see this leaf, I literally drew in, and I cut a leaf in half and stamped half of it.
That's
And then I drew the back, and then I used little leaves here breaking into it. So I had to tape up to this and allow room for that to break into it and then tape down. And these were just taped all the way, and then later I pulled out the grapes. And then this is that spray, the webbing spray.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, this was all done wet into wet, you can see. These leaves, my leaves are gonna be brighter than this, because this was done stamping the color onto a wet surface. Mine was stamped onto a dry surface. But this is really, I love this right now. This is going to be my dominant color, and I purposely did this in a warm color, because I want you to consider doing a warm dominance or a cool dominance.
Okay.
So we're,
Oh, right.
now this is starting out as a warm dominance, but now I'm going to take a cool color. So I'm now going to take my Antwerp blue. This color moves in water. So if I put this color on here, it's going to seep under.
Oh,
So I do this with some caution, because I don't want to lose the whites of these here, but I also want to get a nice contrast. So if I put this color directly on top of that really hot color, see how dark it is? And then if I put it on a lighter area, I get that beautiful light. I probably won't get anything that looks blue, because this color has a personality problem. It wants to be, it definitely wants to be.
It's staining, isn't it?
No,
No?
I don't, I have very few staining colors,
Oh.
and all my colors are transparent. Okay, so we're just going to now blend in some of this cool. I'm actually putting the color on pure. See, I'm taking my brush, shaking off most of the water, see my brush isn't dripping. And then I'm going into this pure color and activating it. So I am putting down blue, but it just has to have a little touch of any other color and it will turn green. And that's why I chose this color, I love it. So right now I'm putting it where I want this to be darker. See, I'm trying to go around my leaves so that I've got a darker contrast. And then I'm also putting it into my papers and interlocking it with my papers. If I go over the paper, I'm going to lose all those lights. So I'm coming up to the paper, interlocking it, going off the page. Very important. I love it when we go off the page. It's kind of cool, isn't it? I mean, what you see is what you get. This is what's so fun about this lesson. It's like looking almost finished. Feeling quite good about this. twisted. Now, can you see how I'm just going up to my papers? And then, but I'm going around the leaves, as much as I can. Over here too. Sometimes I'll just actually go around the leaf with my finger and just soften it out a little bit.
I think after this, I'm gonna need coffee.
Absolutely. I'll tell you, the
Or a
pictures,
walk.
the pictures have been stunning this year, absolutely stunning. And I like that because then they get them framed. Okay, now you can see I'm still following my pattern. Sure I am. Where's my pattern? Here it is. And so I want to go darker here. I need to pop this out. And see, this is what I love to do. I can just go right into this. Now I've kept my picture, what did I do? I keep my paint really thick. Look what's happening. It's not running all over. I try to keep it kind of soft and thick. So I'm going for the highest contrast. So this is a real heavy paint right now. And I want it to be quite dark. And I want to pop out that green. But I also want to keep this corner a little bit lighter. So I think I have enough contrast for this to pop. Now I'm doing a leaf check. This, yes. This, oh, we need a little bit right in here. This has got a little bit going around. So at this point, I'm quite happy with my pattern, my rest areas. And now I want to do some gauze. Now gauze, you worked with gauze before. If you like it, of course, do it again. If you found the gauze just not to your liking, don't do it. But you'll be sorry.
You'll wish you had.
Now watch this. The important thing is to open this up. It's the hardest thing you got to do for the whole week. This is hard. So find, oh, lucky. The kid got lucky here. Look at that. Now can you see it's double here and single here? That means we've got to get this side open too. Oh, look at that. So when you get this whole thing opened up, all you want is a little teeny piece. Just the smallest little piece. So I'm gonna cut, oh, I gotta get rid of these scissors. See how little this is? Very small. And I'm going to start it and interlock it through my leaves, because what this does is it creates what looks like it could be cobwebs, but it creates these interesting patterns in the background that look like vines and branches. So I think it's a really pretty important deal. So remember now, when you put this down, what you do is you put 2 fingers on it and then pull it. And you don't want it to look like gauze. And when you do this, should have cleaned my fingers. You need a sprayer, and you spray into it, and that seats it. See now how the gauze is starting to form those lines? We like that. So now I'm going to come in here, pull this again. Ooh, fun, nice.
How is this gonna relate to where you put your grapes?
Oh, my grapes, I forgot my grapes. Oh my gosh, I gotta do that next. I should do it before this.
Oh, I thought you were saving the rest period area for
Oh, I forgot all about my
So
grapes.
Do grapes before gauze.
Yeah, you do grapes before gauze. But I like this so much, I'm gonna leave it.
Does that say something about life? Grapes before gauze.
Absolutely. There's something very poetic about that.
Grapes of wrath.
Grapes and wrath.
Grapes before gauze.
And then the Band-Aid.
And I have a title for this lesson.
Grapes before gauze.
No, it's called Grape Expectation.
Oh, I like that.
That's pretty
Worked
cool.
this morning,
like
everyone.
Well, I like what's happening here. Now, a lot of people put too many grapes in their pictures, so this is good. I don't have much left.
So Karlyn,
Oh, what did I do without Jody? I gotta have her in every class.
you're not gonna paint your gauze at this point?
I don't have to right now, but I will
Okay.
put
But you will.
additional color on later.
Okay, okay.
Okay, so I have a nice little opening here. Gosh, this would be, I think I'll put some grapes here. And I think I'm gonna do the grapes using gold, quinacridone gold. So what I do is, first of all, I get a rich gold, and then I put down my grape on top of it. Some gold, and then I put a grape circle made out of wax paper.
Really?
Yep. And here's another grape, and another grape, and another grape. And then I just go and I put it down. And I put, and then every now and then I put one on top of the other grapes. So they're interlocking a bit. And then I might leave a little space and put one here. Remember they hang in kind of a little triangular shape. I'm right on top. I'm on top of my collage paper right now, but I'm still gonna put a grape there. You just work with that collage paper like it's not there. And then some more here. And we don't care if they're kind of dark and lost like this. We like that a lot because I'm gonna show you how to save them later. We're gonna make a stencil out of a piece of acetate. So now I think what I'm gonna do is move a couple more grapes up here, closer to the vine. God, I can't believe I forgot the grapes. That's really weird.
That's what I heard through the grapevine. One of those days.
Isn't there?
I like your thinking.
She had some wine this morning, I think.
Oh,
She had wine for breakfast.
Now I'm putting these right over my gauze. That's not gonna work very well, but I can clean it up later. I just wanna give the suggestion of these grapes. So you just put it down, and they're gonna look like grapes when I'm done.
So if we were to do it grapes first and then gauze, we can put the gauze right over the grapes, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
It won't do anything, because this,
Okay.
this will be touching the surface.
Yeah.
Okay.
But, and then grapes can be hanging down from above. So I'm gonna do some up here, hanging down from above. And the paper's getting a little dry. So what I do is I hold this high and I do a little mist. And see, that keeps the paper wet with this little fine mist coming down. I'm not holding like this and spraying a puddle. I'm holding my hand high and I'm moving it and I'm just giving it a little mist. And I have a little story I tell with this. I'm gonna make you endure it one more time. Becky had finished doing all my filming and editing on a DVD, and she came out one day and said, "Karlyn, would you like to hear the outtakes?" I'm going, outtakes? What are those?
Oh,
She
yeah.
said, you know, the bloopers. Bloopers. I said, oh, cool. Oh, I can't wait. What is it? And she said, so she plugs in the CD, and the first thing I hear is, "I'm really high when I do this." No way. I said, I didn't say that. She said, you say it all the time. And so I like to tell the story because I want you to remember this. This is important. I'm really high when I do this. See, I'm doing this. I'm really high when I do it. So I want you to be hearing those words as you're spraying. Okay, now I'm going to have some grapes kind of hanging out into this rest area. That'll be cool. So I'm going to put some here and here. So I paint the circle similar, not smaller, but the same size or larger. And in this case, I've got some green, so I'm going to paint right on top of that. Over here, I painted on top of the orange. I'm using gold.
Oh.
And that's going to be, you know, kind of, I'm doing green grapes is what I'm doing. So now I'm going to do one that overlaps here. So now I'm just going to put these down, and we're getting close to done. How about that? And here. And here. Oh, this is fun. See, and I can put them right on, whatever color I put them on, I get these interesting patterns. Get down there. And then, but don't just do a little circle. I had somebody who did this. They just made a little circle that big. And then they thought when they pressed this down that it would expand.
Oh.
But it really doesn't. You need to make the circle the size of your grape, because she had, all her grapes were outlined in white. She just had a little circle in the middle and they were outlined in white.
Oh.
So now we're almost done. Ooh, where's my notes?
You're gonna put a little bit more gauze on
I
it.
am in right now. So I'm gonna take this horrible pair of scissors and try to cut not one more little piece. Oh, God. What? Oh, I did it. Now, please note how little this is. I see people struggling with huge pieces of gauze. And then if you just do one, it pulls into a line. So I hold it with 2 fingers. And what I'm doing is I'm interlocking this beautiful linear shape I'm getting. My fingers. Get here. Get this away. Oh gosh, this is so funny. Now I have to wet this. See, so now I'm spraying again. This time I'm spraying very close, not high. I'm just sticking it right into this. And then I have to put color onto this. And so what I'm going to do is choose the color. It has to be a color that's a mineral based or a clay based. It has to be heavy. So I'm going to choose manganese blue. Ooh, and I think that blue is going to be pretty on here. So I just put it in such a way that the gauze just kind of sucks it up and transfers it. So here we go. We're going to stretch it here. Then I'm going to paint on it. Look at that. Ooh. And then it's going to go over my grapes. And I'll paint on top of it. Very nice. Ooh, I love it. Now I'm going to show you something really disgusting.
Did you paint on your first
Oh,
gauze?
no, thanks. Oh, God, Jody, I gotta get you in every class. That's all there is to it. See, she's been here 20 times. She knows it. Now you want to go back and notice how my brush is real flat. And so you want to touch these so that it's just going right into those lines. Not in between, just here and kind of roll. And they have to be wet. If that's not wet and kind of flush with that edge of the paper, you're probably not going to get any, it's not going to do anything. But manganese blue is the color, I'll tell you. French ultramarine works too, but that can get a little harsh. Now, another little trick, I don't know if I want to do it, but I'm going to tell you about it. There's the color French ultramarine blue. And if you go around your leaf, your grape leaf, with French ultramarine blue, it will outline it.
Oh.
French ultramarine blue, I can't say it, French ultramarine blue doesn't move in water. But what it does do is it will just kind of bead up on the edge here. So I think I'm going to take a chance. Not too much water on my brush. See, I'm wiping my water, taking off the extra. I'm going into my French ultramarine blue. It's going to be very rich. Ooh, yeah. I'm just going to come in here and do a little bit, especially around my grape leaves. If I can integrate it without taking away, I like the color that I've got so far. So I'm just going to put a little bit more French ultramarine where I can kind of just sneak it in next to this. The other thing I like to do is to go right over my grapes. See? And then this paints in between, and it makes those pop out even more. Look how nice that looked. And then a little bit over the grapes, a little bit going around this sky. Here and there, not everywhere. And I've got one more trick. And then we're done. Oh my gosh. I'm running out of space. But look how hard I'm fighting to keep these. There's still rest areas. I want to see rest areas. Really, really important. So one more trick, and that's going to be the stencil. I love, love, love this stencil. Now, one of the things I could do is use this one. I could use, remember this one, the Klimt one? I could use, oh, Roxy's here. These are stencils are so much fun. I could do some zigzag lines. I could just make it look like a natural. I'm into natural. So I'm going to choose this lovely natural thing here. And so what I have to do now, it has to be wet. Remember, we're going to do color sanding? So first of all, it has to be wet. So I'm wetting it with my sprayer. And then I'm going to lay this in here, and it's just going to be little vines coming out into the area. The other thing is, this is why I love these very expensive $119. Oh my gosh, I still can't get over this. And then I bought these because these are similar to the colors that are in my picture. Now, I could go grayer, but it's quite dark. Oh, this is better. So I've got this kind of orangey color and then this one. So in the color where it's orange, I'm going to color sand orange. So see, I'm just coming in very light with a little bit, the surface is wet. It's in my rest area, but it's just going to add a little touch. Here's that darker green. And then right next to this, see if I sand right next to it, I'm going to get some darks. Ooh, nice. All right, now I lift this up and look what I have. Just that real subtle, no oohs or ahs. Did you like it?
Yes.
Can you see it?
That's very pretty. Ooh.
Maybe you can't see
We
it.
can see it.
There, that's better.
That's better. Now, oh, thank you. Okay, now what we need to do is to get this even more wet. Very, very important. So now with my sprayer, and I'm holding it high. I'm high when I do this, and I'm moving it. And what I'm doing is I'm just doing a gentle mist. And see, every time I do that, it gets darker. So now it's really important I put the orange in the orange, the green in the green, and now I'm doing an additional spray, and oh, it's lovely. So I'm going to have another little thing going like this. See, I could have this little guy coming up here, just sort of out of the edge. Oh, now you have to tell me, what do I need to do?
Wet it.
Wet it.
Wet it first, okay. So down here, I'm going to spray, just the area I'm gonna use. What's that?
You're off screen.
Thank you. Oh, I love you.
Thank you. We love you back.
Okay, so we'll get in a little closer here. So we just sprayed this, ta-da. Now the placement, and I don't want, straight edges or anything. So I'm just putting this where I'm just gonna get a little interesting pattern coming out. And there's not much of the orange, but I'm going to give, there's a little bit here. So I'm just gonna come out with a little bit of the orange. And then I'm gonna go to my green. And see how I'm holding it almost parallel, straight up from here. I see a lot of people sanding like this and they say, this sanding isn't working, Karlyn. And I go, hold it like this. Okay, so that works a lot better. So you just, these actually they're covered with plastic sleeve, but I'm too lazy to peel it off. There's little bits of plastic. I don't think it makes any difference. So you can see now, I want it darker in here. So I'm gonna spray a little. I might even spray a little without the stencil over here just to get it darker. And ta-da! Ooh, there it is. Now, that's the beginning. Now we have to spray it because those particles are kind of coarse and now they're getting softened And now this is the very last thing you do. Color sanding is the very last thing you do. And
What about salt?
oh yeah, that's also the very last thing you do. Oh my God. It takes a village to paint a great painting. Okay, I'm gonna do one more little area with this sanding, and it's gonna be up here, so I'll go quickly. You know now, first of all, you wet it. Then you
What kind of
place,
pencil is that?
what kind of what?
Pencil, is it?
Stencil.
No, the pencil.
These are woodless watercolor pencils by Cretacolor.
Create-A-Color.
Thank you. And I got them off of Amazon Prime, and they were $119 on sale. And look at this. I tell you, they're worth every penny. Look at this. It's every color you'd want,
Nice.
and they come stacked. And I had a gal, she said, oh, I have those, and I looked and lifted up one of the stacks, and she had another whole stack underneath she didn't know she had.
Wow.
But look at those colors, they're so earthy. See, I could have used this, and you don't get these colors just in regular pencils. So for me, I do quite a bit of color sanding. It's a very nice thing. Okay, so now this time I'm gonna give a little hint of the orange into the orange. And then I'm gonna finish it with the green into the green, coming out into my rest area, but not too much, just a little bit. And then when we lift the stencil, that leaves us with the little pattern, and then we spray it until it actually starts to really form. That's really nice, isn't it? Now, the very last thing you do is the salt. And I'm actually quite pleased with this. I think overall, it's working out quite well. So you can see I do have those right in the corners now. See, I can look in the monitor. I've got one in the middle and one in each corner. Oh my gosh.
You did
Is
what
that
you
bad?
didn't wanna do.
Is that
Remember I
bad?
said,
I know.
remember I said? And there it is, but that's okay because they're all connected by these shapes. This is a big one, this is a little one. I think it's gonna be okay, but it is hilarious that I
You just
ended
said,
up,
don't put them in.
don't do this, and I just did it.
Don't do as I
So
say.
now, over in some of these areas, salt only works if it's wet. And see, this has been drying quite a bit. So what I'm going to do is put ever so little salt, and I don't like salt in my darks. So I only put salt where it's a little bit soft with white going into a color. So I might put some in here and some over here. Done. Amen.
Now,
Yes.
if you were gonna do the marbling spray, you'd do it now?
You could, but I generally wait to do it because if you do it now, you won't have it under your leaves and you won't have it under your grapes. So it's usually later. After this is dry, I take everything off and then we're gonna come in with the darks and the hard edges. And we're gonna lift some colors, lift some lights into our grapes. So this is only an underpainting, it's only the beginning, and I would wait with the marbleizing spray. Good question. Any other questions?
Can I ask you what colors you used to get that purple? You
Give it-
remember? Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Thank you. This was done with permanent rose or quinacridone. Kind of looks like permanent rose. And then probably cobalt blue, because I didn't want them too dark. And when I'm doing this, see the variety? They go between warmer and cooler and lighter and darker. So you don't just mix a big
Right.
purple and paint them all the same.
Right.
So when I put these down, I probably used pure purple, and then every now and then I charge in some of the cobalt and stick some more down. And then these dark shapes you see here were painted later. That's one of the lessons I'm gonna teach.
Okay.
That you have to come in later and paint some of the negative grapes that are behind. And you can't possibly do that now. We're just making the grapes in the foreground.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's just an underpainting. There'll be a lot of changes made. Very cool.
Okay, thanks.
Any more questions?
How long would you leave the wax paper on before you take, oh, no, you don't, yeah, you have to take it off.
Everything, I'm glad you asked that question. Everything on here has to remain until it's dry. And see, it's getting that air from underneath,
Right.
and I actually had a problem keeping it wet. So drying is gonna happen very quickly. But do not take a hair dryer, because obviously everything's gonna blow away.
Right.
If you do choose to use a hair dryer to speed it up, use it underneath, so the heat's coming through from underneath. But whatever you do, don't, everybody holds a hair dryer at this angle, and everything blows away at that angle. I've seen it time after time. If you do use a hair dryer, hold it straight up so it's pushing whatever it is you're drying down, straight down. But I don't think you're gonna need it. It's gonna dry very quickly.
It's really advantageous to put it over the piece of wood, so that first of all, it's gonna stretch nicely for you.
I think it's great.
And
But you can do it later. Now, this right now has a ripple to it, and it's stretched out. It's actually got a sag,
Yeah.
but this is gonna be tight as a drum when I come back and it's dry. Well, good. We're gonna get started.
Good.
Good afternoon, everybody. Okay, so about an hour or more has passed, and this is now dry, and we have to take off our leaves. You can see I've already taken off a few. There's just a little bit of dampness, nothing too serious. But this is, honest to God, this is like Christmas morning. And sometimes I leave this overnight, and then you really have to scrape these babies off with a palette knife. Like even this one has some corners that are, you don't want to leave any of that vegetative material on there. So you want to get these all off. Oh, I'm very happy with my leaves. Sometimes it doesn't work out this well, but I do like these. And see, there's little bits of vegetative material on every one of these. So I just make a point of making sure I get them all off. And then here's the other thing. These goofy, oh, these are hard to get off too. Look at that, I can hardly get them off. So when they're really totally dry, which is what you want, you gotta struggle a little bit getting this off. And I have even had the experience where I was walking into my gallery one day, couldn't believe it. And here was, I cannot get these off. Here was something shiny. I was all framed up under glass. What was that? There was something shiny. And I looked again, and sure enough, one of those grape leaves, wax paper leaves, was still stuck on it. I thought, oh boy, Bradley's not gonna like that. I'm gonna have to, gee, I hate to tell him. So I didn't tell him right away because I was busy. I got busy with something else. And then pretty soon, a couple days later, I walked in and there was a hole there. And I went, oh no, where's that painting? Did somebody figure it out and take it down to the frame shop? It said, figure what out? We sold it. Oh! So I have no idea who bought it. So funny. But they have a little piece of wax paper under there. Okay, now I usually do the Braille test at the end, looking for wax paper because they're very hard to find. And I recommend you take a picture again before you proceed, because I think it's really fun to see the variety, the changes that take place. So this is basically an underpainting. And now what we want to do is develop some dark and light patterns. Okay, an artist that has been very instrumental in my work for about the last 10 years or so is an artist from England. I was in New Zealand at the time, and all of the books in Pauline's library were from England, Britain. And I couldn't believe this artist. Her name is Shirley Trevena. And I went, everything she does, I love it. David, have you ever heard of Shirley Trevena?
No.
Oh my gosh, you're in for a treat.
Oh, yeah.
Usually there's a picture of her in the back or somewhere. She's got red hair, and it's just all over, just something.
She's single?
I don't think so, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, she mostly does still lifes, And one of the things she does is she just introduces things anywhere she wants. Look at this. She loves patterns and fabric. So she just added this lovely stripe pattern behind that. And see, then she also just decides to make straight lines, which happens to be kind of the side of that bottle. And this bottle, which she hasn't completed the top, and this plate, oh, that is on a stand. But very often, see, she'll just put a fruit down anywhere she wants. She takes risks and she adds perspective any way she wants, tips and turns it, just makes up patterns in the background. Isn't that lovely? And these patterns that kind of break out, very dark against the light, and then she just left it light down here. And all of this is done pretty much on hot press paper. Lots of pattern here. And very often she works with the cruciform, like we talked about this morning. But look at here, look at this thing. They don't even look like they're coming out of a pot. There's kind of a pot shape, but she only painted half of it. She turned this perspective up on end, and we're kind of familiar with that pattern, which she just kind of flips it around, turned it into stripes. So I'm just thrilled with this artist. Never met her. I've got every book she's written. She doesn't teach classes, but she has given me permission to do things I've always wanted to do. And that is just add darks and patterns and shapes anywhere you want. So thank you, Shirley. She also inspired me to do that black watercolor pencil that we did last year and on several previous lessons. And she doesn't even do that. She works on hot press paper. These are just grays that she's done. But I just took the idea, like I drew it with the black pencil and wet it and just let the black and gray go everywhere. So you see that a lot in her work, but that's not how she gets that effect. So if anybody's interested, this lovely book is here, as are all her books behind me in my little library. Please enjoy. So using some of the Shirley Trevina, I've got permission now to do anything I want. I am going to take just a regular HB pencil, not a watercolor pencil like I talked about, just an HB. And I'm going to start drawing in some straight edges. Hey, look at that, I got that pretty straight. That's next to a miracle, I'm telling you right now. Next to a miracle. So I'm gonna start with that, and I'm going to pull this down. And anytime I run into something, which I'm not, but here's a grape, here's a leaf, good. So that's already given me a little division there, I like that. And then I think what I'll do is I'll make it a little wider here. Now, I would never do it here at the tip, that would be a tangent. You always want to interlock these shapes, so it's kind of behind something. So I think I'm going to do kind of a wide one here. I love this little ruler. So I'm going to start here, and I'm going to go behind the leaf. I'm going to come down until I bump into something else. Here's another leaf. Here's another one here. So now I've got a nice vertical, and my dark shape is going to be coming this way. And then I'm going to reverse it over here. I think I'll break it up here. You can see that I've got another hard edge here that I randomly put down. I didn't do as well with this one, but I think I can fix it. So I'm going to start here with this shape and come out the bottom. And then I'm going to do a shape that goes across this way. Now I don't want to go that close to the middle, so I'll probably come down here a little bit and come through here. And next to the leaf here, I've got a bunch of grapes here. Stop and start a little bit. I think I'll just end it there because this is my rest area. But I don't mind having a little break, but I do want to keep my rest area fairly clean. And then remember I brought in, these are some, here it is. This was my branch. So now I'm going to do some drawing here. Forgot about this. And it's coming around here. Oh, yeah. Oh, this is perfect. Oh, I'm so excited. Where's my eraser? I don't want this line through the branch. We're gonna get rid of that. And I don't want the line here through the branch. Oh, yeah, or here. Gosh, I forgot about that branch. So now I'm gonna take my pencil here and do some more drawing right through that. But whenever I come to an object, stop and start. Can you see my branch coming through now? And I'll make it much darker as I proceed. And remember I had another fun thing crossing over here and dropping down. So we're gonna stop and start and go, oh, there's some grapes through there. And this branch, now where is that branch gonna go? I think what I'll do is continue it down here. There it is. So we got a nice light here. It's gonna go through here and come out, down here, across, wrap it around, and I think it'll come out here and end. Oh, isn't that fun? And then you can just add things if you want. I don't know what that is, a leaf or something. Now my grapes are, I like this little focal area here full of grapes. And then what you want to do is you want to start designing in grapes within the grapes. So I'm going to pull in close to this pile of grapes here. And see, what I'm going to do eventually is I'm going to lift out these grapes so that you're getting the highlight on them. So I'm going to show you this trick right away. So you're each going to receive one of these, and I put a little piece of tape on it because this little piece of acetate will get lost. I'm constantly replacing them. So I thought, I know what I'll do. If somebody else thought of this, not me, just put that little tape on there. And so now what you want to do is pick one of your grapes that best represents what you have here. And what I'm making right now is a stencil. And so I'm drawing it to fit, see my grape? And then I'm going to come in and I'm going to cut this out. I just come in with a slice and then I go around this. And try to get it as smooth as I can. I don't think I'm doing a real good job, but we'll see. I can do it again if I don't like it. So now I have a stencil of my grape. And what I'll do is it's sort of my universal grape now. So I'm going to take a Mr. Clean Magic Eraser. This is the original recipe, nothing special. There's no chemicals in it. And I'm going to wet it and squeeze it, and then I'm going to squeeze it again, and then I'm going to wipe it on my pants. Because you just want it slightly damp, not very wet. And I'm thinking of the light coming in from my left side here. And I'm just going to pull away like this, and look at that. I just lifted out a nice highlight. You always start on the outside edge, and then I just come in, and look at that, just lift away. Isn't that gorgeous? Over here I'll go a little bit more. I don't want to break into that leaf. So these are the grapes. As you get closer and closer to the middle, you can start going right over. Like I could put one, you want to do the outside grapes first. And what I'm doing is I'm just capturing the light on it. I'm not necessarily doing the whole thing. Can you see that? It's just the highlight on it. Because these grapes are so dark. So I just come in always from the same side. This is my sun source. But let's say now I got a grape up here, and this is a piece of paper here. But look at this. If I want to, I can add a grape on top of that piece of paper. And this is so brutal. This stuff is so incredible that I can actually lift that paper right off. Look at that, gone. And I got another grape on top of a grape. So as I continue now, I'm mostly doing this to capture the light. But if I want to, like here's another grape back here. Oh, more paper, I'll get rid of that. Get rid of that paper. Now, I want to do another grape right here. Look at that, right on top of these. Can you see that in there?
Yeah.
Great. It's like a miracle. You can just make a grape anywhere you want. Look at that. So grapes on top of grapes. Here's another piece of paper in a bad place. Well, goodbye. We'll just lift it right up. Gone, gone, gone. And there we have it. Now here's another one. So this is one of the ways I work with the grapes. I literally lift back the color. So you can see, I just went from this, which was just the suggestion of the grapes with the textures, to this, where I'm actually lifting it out. Now the other thing you want to think about are the grapes behind this. Very often, what people do is they just paint up to all these and paint everything in between. And you end up with a layer, one row of grapes. What you want to do is start designing a grape. If there was a grape behind here, see that? It would be there. This grape is just hanging out there all by itself. It needs an interlocking grape to connect it to the rest of this. So does this one. We need a grape here, coming around, interlocking with these. And then I can add grapes anytime I want to, interlocking. So now I'm just going to go to a relatively small brush. I'm going to use the same colors. This is kind of quin-burnt orangey. So I'm going to use that color. And I'm going to put a little bit of blue in it to make it darker. My Antwerp blue. And see, I'm going to paint this. This is a grape behind a grape. Does this make sense to everybody?
Yep.
Oh, I'm so glad.
Scary something.
That's a great thing.
It's what gives,
It's a great idea, so.
it's a grape idea. And it just really it gives you something in the background. And see, like even here, I could use a couple of more grapes hanging down. Oh, I got one here.
Or a stem.
Or I could have that little stem that somebody ate them all. See? See how cool that would be? Or you could give them a little, they're not all straight, they could come out like this. Somebody ate about 4 of them, and these are just hanging here. But I am going to add one more grape here to give this, and I'm using the same colors. Don't add a foreign color. See, this is a dark green with some blue, some orange in it, same color. And I'm just putting these in here to pull it together. And I might just make this grape a little darker here, and I'll put a darker grape hanging here in with all that wonderful collage. Oh, love it. Now remember, I made a few of these grapes like this one, so now I need to paint on that. So I can just take the color, that's my Quin Gold, put it down, shake my brush out, take most of the moisture away, and then just lose this edge. So I'm not losing the white, but I'm putting color. I might even put a little orange there. See what I'm doing? I'm making it look like the other grapes. This is another grape I just added. So again, I'm going to add just a little bit more of the gold here in the shadow side. Take my brush, wet it, shake it, get rid of that moisture, lose that edge. And so you can see now the grapes in my focal area, they're starting to look pretty good. I'm pretty happy. So that's how I treat the grapes. And you can do it before you do all these lines, if you choose to do those lines. Or those of you who aren't going to break yours up with lines and collage and all that, you just go ahead and start painting your darks and connecting it and your grapes. But I'm going to do just a little bit more planning here. Now I've got a dark shape. We need to pull this out so you can see. actually am quite happy with this one. So I have these, and I have lots of these for you right here, for your grapes. Okay, now you can see I started here with a dark shape. And I think I want to pull this dark shape through this linking vine. And I'm going to pull it down. And I'm going to stop before I get to this dark shape. So you can see that this dark shape is in the blues. So what I'm going to do is take the same color, it's Antwerp blue, and there's also my quinacridone burnt orange. So you can see I'm basically doing a very limited palette. It's quin burnt orange, it's Antwerp blue, and it's quinacridone gold. So I have all those colors here ready to go, and I just grab into them as I need them. I'm going to start with this darker blue, and I'm going to paint around my leaf, around my vine, next to this shape that I just added. Thank you, Shirley. And then I'm going to come around here. But you can see I've got this reversal happening. Isn't that cool? So I'm just going to stop at this point. This is warmer, so now I'm going to add more of the orange here, but I have to repeat it up here when I do that. So a little orange here. I'm just going to pull this down a little bit here. When I'm in an orange area, I basically do orange. When I'm in a blue area, I do the cooler. Now I'm at a place where I want this to end. Wet my brush, shake it out, take off the extra moisture, start outside that line and back into it. And that's how you lose a perfect edge. You just back into it. So now we've got this stem starting to pop out here. And I'm going to pull it up all the way to the edge. Up here. So I want the same color on this side to come out on this side. And I did leave the stem on this one, so I'm going to leave a stem on here. It's kind of cool. So now we have our dark starting at the top. If I were going around the edge, see, it would be a lot of work. I'd have to all of a sudden go around. Okay, so I'm going to keep it quite dark up here. You can see I just added more blue, carrying that blue through consistently. I'm adding it here. And then the same with that orange. When I do the orange, I start here, pull just a little bit here, cross the orange over to here, and then lose it. So please keep that in mind, that whatever's happening on this side's got to happen on this side. Karen Knutson and I came up with the idea, we call it bookending. I love it. Okay, now I'm going to do a reversal. I've got this going. I think I might do a line coming here, because I really enjoy like doing a checkerboarding thing. Oh yeah, I see it happening. Okay, right about in here. So I'm getting out my HB pencil again. This time I'm going to go between the stems. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to go until I get to my grapes. I go in between my grapes. I might continue this line a little further. So I got to pick up my line here. Go past my grapes. And I think I'll just kind of, oh, look at there. There's that guy again. Oh, I love this. Okay, so there we go. We've got that line breaking it up. I think I'm going to do a narrow break up here. Maybe interlock with something. Not much to interlock with there. I do have this line. Maybe I'll just do some more of these. Oh yeah, I can feel it. I know what I'm going to do, you guys. This is cool. Now I'm gonna come in here, come down here, and I'm gonna start doing some checkerboarding. And just to show you, here's a finished one. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm gonna start doing some checkerboarding. Isn't that cool? So the shape comes down, stops, and continues here. Then you do a reversal. And then in this case, I pulled this color and lost the edge. So this has a contained edge and a lost edge. This has a contained edge and a lost edge. A contained edge and a lost edge. So whenever you don't know what to do, you just lose the edge. It's real easy. You can figure it out. And then you do all this busy stuff, interlocking shapes, checkerboards, leaves, all this stuff. You do it in your focal area. And then as you move away, lose the edges. Lost edges, found edges. So it's actually not as hard as it looks, but I can see where it could be pretty complicated. So here's what's gonna happen now. I'm in an area that's a combination of the two colors. So I'm going to continue this one here. Now whenever you paint on your materials, they get darker. So see, I'm just sort of evening this up. But when I paint on the material, it gets darker. It will dry a little bit lighter, but just get over it. It actually looks kind of nice. And it's hard to lose edges on this, but you can. See, I'm kind of losing the edge. Kind of. I'll come up a little higher. The other thing is the edges, if they're not glued really well, they will leak and just sort of spread out, and that's another thing. Just kind of get over it. It's okay. Okay, now I'm going to come in here for a reversal. So I'm going to come in here and go over this way. I need a bigger brush. For some reason I grabbed an awfully small brush. Oh, more like it. This is that number 10. Way better. Okay, so now I'm in here, and I keep looking at what is it that I'm next to, because I want to stay cool when I'm in the cool and warm when I'm in the warm. Now I'm bumping into a grape, so I have to paint around it. Paint around it. I'm bumping into a line here. And I really kind of like this area I'm in. I like it kind of light. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lose this edge here. Keep it light. I can always change my mind. But I don't want to get too dark. I don't want to take away from this lovely pile of grapes here. And I think what I'll do is come over here and pick up this line. And again, just kind of lose this. Oh, and every time I go out the line, I have to push it back. I'm not real good at this. And see, you don't know what's going to happen. There's, I actually like this little bit of orange in here. See what I'm going to do? I'm just going to add a little more orange. I'm just adding that pure color in there right now, because I love that little orange glow I could see. So I'll just pull that out. And then I'm going to put a little salt in this too, because I kind of like that light area. And now I'm going to pick up the dark again, because I want to pull the dark around here. So I'm in a blue area, so I'm making it blue. As I move along, I'm running into collage papers. They get darker.
Did you want to go over the vine?
No, thank you. Oh, what would I do, you guys? You guys are great. I'm so busy thinking about my next step. Yep, I didn't want to go over the vine. Thank you. So now we're going to paint around that vine. In fact, we're going to go really dark. If I add a little burnt orange into my blue, it gets way darker. That's what I want. I want to pop that vine out. Oh, nice. Now we'll pop out these things here. And the cool thing is, you don't necessarily lose the lines. See those beautiful lines from the gauze? This is transparent color. Now, if my whole palette wasn't transparent, you'd lose that. So that's why I keep my palette transparent, so you can still see all kinds of things happening here. Now I'm just gonna lose this dark, because I kinda like the way this looks right now. Just leave that. Oh man, thanks again. There, and I'm just gonna let this edge just kind of melt out on its own. No lines defining it here. We're just gonna come down. As I come down, can you see how it's warmer? I'm switching. I'm switching to that warmer color. Just a darker value of that warmer color, because I want to pop this leaf out. That's how you do it. You go darker, unless your leaf is light. But no, I don't want to lose all this either. See that? Oh yeah, yeah. There we go. Oh, that was easy. Beautiful, beautiful. And I think I'm going to start popping out a little bit more of this vine, right to there. Done. Wet it, shake it, get that extra moisture, lose that edge by backing into it. Now what I want to do is I want to make the vine, where it comes in and out, darker against the light background. Before I do that, I need to think about my reversal here now. Remember I originally drew a line there? I've changed my mind. Pencil. That's what I like about a pencil. It erases. So I'm going to now make this dark, because I like this checkerboard. So I'm going to come in here, and I'm actually going to draw this line coming right across so I can have a checkerboard. Come on, right here. Ha! So this is going to be my checkerboard now, which means I have to do another reversal. And then I can even pop this out to a greater degree. But you know what? One of the things I like is I like what happens with the collage papers. You never know what they're going to do. Okay, so now I'm going to do another reversal, and I'm going to bring this checkerboard down here. And you don't get to see the rest of it because it's behind this leaf. So we'll pull that out, and then the rest of the checkerboard is going to go, well, I shouldn't have filled this in, see? But I can still come up here, go around all this stuff. Can you see what I'm doing, or do I need to come in closer?
We can see it.
Thank you. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lighten this up. And I'm in an area that's kind of blue, so I've got more blue in my brush. But see, as I cross over, I'm getting into the warmer color. So that's a no-brainer. When I go into that color, then I switch to that color. So and then it's sort of a can of worms. Then you do this, you want to come back and add into this color, and cross over to this side, then take this color over here. See, it's all about consistency. That warm color's got to come over here, this cool color's got to come over here, and then eventually they can just resolve themselves. And you know how they resolve themselves? With wetting your brush, shaking it out, taking the extra moisture out, starting outside this edge and backing into it. And you lose that edge. You leave the edges soft. Isn't that lovely? And this is all collage paper that's just doing its thing. So that's pretty fun. I'm actually kind of happy with all this. I think another thing that might be helpful is to pull this dark down to the other side here, into my cruciform. There we go. Okay, now what color am I in?
Blue.
Blue. What color should I use? blue, but I have to look at what's up here and see if there's orange in it too. So really, I have to do blue, I have to add a bit of orange to it, so it's more of that gray. Whatever is up here has to come out the other side. And then beyond that, it has to be related to what's already here, which is very blue. And usually when I get close to an edge like this, one of the things I like to do is just to lose it. Wet it, shake it, take the extra moisture out, come out from the bottom, back it in, and just let that edge kind of melt out, rather than running those hard lines all the way to the edge. And then if you can even put a little salt in there. Remember I put a little salt in here? And I actually like what's happening. It's hard to see, it's very subtle. But see how that salt has created, the white is invading this with little dots, little dots. I really like that. So I could actually do that down here too, in this corner. I could just put a little salt right here, and that'll give me like this, little whites coming back into the picture. And it's all very subtle, but it's all part of what I think is the whole thing. It's a combination of everything. Now we have some real fun stuff happening. We want to make our vine dark against the light. We want to keep it light against the dark. And see, I already like what's happening in terms of the invading color. It makes it look kind of round. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wet this first of all. Wet the vine. And I don't want to paint it solid. That would be really kind of awful. Don't want it solid. Maybe a little darker over in here. So now this one I am going to make darker. So you can see how the vine is darker here against the light. It has to come out a little darker on the other side. But then I'm just going to let this color kind of run from the edge in. That's why you wet it. So you're going to save just a little bit of color in the center. It's hard here because I'm painting on paper right now. Paper doesn't it doesn't have a surface that moves. And I'm going to put a little orange in with this too. Because see how it's mostly an orange vine. So I'll put a little orange down here too. And then I'll put a little blue on here where it's out, because I want it darker, darker, darker than the background. Maybe even darker yet. You just keep doing it until it feels right. Oh yeah, I like it darker. But see how I'm still saving a little light in there? It's real hard for me to just give up all that beautiful light that I saved. Gosh. What's a poor girl to do? Pull this color into this just a little bit. And then as it comes out down here, same thing. We're going to wet this. And we'll just let these colors kind of float in there. So now it's going to be dark against the light, light against the dark, light against the dark, dark against the light, and so on. We just need to go a little darker up here. And then it's going to stay dark up here against the light. Just keep going darker, like I say, till it feels right. And it's light against the dark. This one here has to be darker. We'll lose this edge. So now it's dark against that, but light against this, da-da-da-da. So that's good. That's enough of that stuff. Now, if your leaves really turn out really, really, really light, and we have no idea what's under there, it's going to be fun. And if you remember to overlap them, which is a great idea, see how one of these leaves, you have to determine which of these leaves is in front of the other. And I think I'm gonna make this one underneath this one. See, because this is on top of the vine, so it would kind of make sense to put this one, push this one under it a bit. So simply by putting a little bit of shadow underneath that particular area of the leaf, that should help push it underneath. But I'm not gonna paint the whole thing, just the area that's directly under that leaf. And it's not a big deal, but it does help to push it under. I do wish this was a little lighter, and there are tricks to do that. So now we're gonna back up again, we're getting close, time for you to work. Don't need to take too much time, but enough to do it. Now the other thing that's very exciting is you can lift color with an acrylic sheet or a sheet of acetate. And I have those. Those of you that are in my online class, you have sheets of acetate in your gift box. But this is what it looks like. And if you guys don't have a sheet of acetate, they're quartered. Or you can borrow mine. And they're out behind Kirsten there in the art room. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just lift out some color with Mr. Clean. And it's like, you know how powerful Mr. Clean is.
Oh, yeah.
It's amazing. So I can just clean up edges. I can do all kinds of things. So I'm going to take another brand new Mr. Clean, and I'll cut a bunch of them up for you. Remember, wet it, squeeze it twice as hard as you can. Lift away the extra moisture on your hands. And then you come in here, and look at, I can just tear this right off of here and go back to the white of the paper. So I'm just going to get rid of this particular one. And then by taking a second sheet of acetate, I can protect this edge. And I can just come in here and get a nice clean corner. And then you just sort of dab to get rid of any edges you don't like. Yeah, there we go. Okay, now here if I want to, I can reverse that here and here. And I can go lighter. Usually when you're doing this lifting, you come in from the acetate into your artwork. From the acetate into your artwork. Not into the acetate. Start with the acetate and go in. So you can see now we're actually pulling quite a bit of attention here. I can reverse it again. Putting it here, putting it here. Remember, this is the area I originally colored in, but I wouldn't mind just having that just a little bit lighter. And so from the acetate coming into the picture, I can just start lifting away a little bit of that. And in the meantime, you start getting some really cool stuff going on. Even here, I can put one more, do one more final lift in this area. And you don't have to lift it all like I did up here, just enough to pull a little light back into it. That's enough. And the other thing you can do is you can cut shapes out. Let's say you would like to have this lighter. Remember, I actually painted over it, and let's say you would like to have that lighter. What you would do is just like the stencil you cut for your grape, you take something that will write on the acetate, and I just use these pens that I draw with on location. And the acetate or plastic is so nice because you can see exactly what's here. So what I can do now is I can just come in here and cut this out exactly what it is. And I'll just come in from that cut edge of the acetate. And I have a friend, she's unfortunately passed, some of you might know her, Joyce Gauze from Grand Marais, Minnesota. Wonderful painter, close friend. We painted together for over 30 years. And she did beautiful still lifes. And one of the characteristic deals about her still lifes, she always had daisies in. And the way she put the daisies in, she had a sheet like this with all kinds of daisy petals cut out. And then she just decided to put a daisy over here and would just literally lift the daisy out. She didn't have to paint around it. And it looked gorgeous. And Chenkachi, he has an entire sheet of acetate like this full of birds flying. And he never puts a bird in his picture until he's done. And then he said, oh yeah, I want a bird over here. Got a bird. I think I want another bird here. Oh, I think I want that bird flying the other direction. You know, it's just, these are golden.
And his fish scales.
Same way, fish scales, exactly. So here's that little puppy that you just saw me cut. And now watch this. I can come in here and just pull in even more light into this. All the way back, Mr. Clean goes all the way back to the white of the paper. So anytime you miss something, you can obviously do it again and clean it up with Mr. Clean Magic Eraser. In fact, this almost looks like it would look, maybe I need to come out here just a little bit with this. Oh, that same pattern. Same pattern. I think we can do just a little more lifting here. Taking us out. I like it better already. So you can see anything you missed. You just need a little sheet of acetate, a pair of scissors, a pen to draw the shapes, and Mr. Clean to lift it out. So I think that is more than enough information to get you going right now. And have fun. Now, I just want to show you another fun thing. This isn't for everybody, but sometimes I think you just need to let yourself go. And these are a product that's been around a long time, Crayon Dash. And they are incredibly wonderful crayons. And one of the gals that's in my online class, Barbara McFarland, she is one of the lessons, and she does almost all of her paintings, she draws with these, and they're watercolor. So the fun part is you can actually activate this by actually just painting, and then you can come in and add this color. Am I in? Yeah, you can just see it happen. So they're very, very high quality. They're quite expensive, and they are opaque. Many of them are opaque. You can just see by looking at the colors. They have a lot of white to them. And so sometimes I like to get a little crazy, and I will just use them as a toy. And you can just see some of the colors that I've drawn in here. So when the paper is dry, you can come in with these and just dry right. You can just draw right on top.
Wow.
And just come in and do any crazy thing you want to with them. And so if you have some areas you don't like, lots of times I'll just come in and say, oh, I think I'm just going to get those crayons out.
Did you wet the crayon?
No, nope, this is just, I'm just drawing on here directly.
Okay.
And I'm also drawing like right onto my leaves right here. So sometimes I do it. I just go for it. And I also love, and you've seen me do this, this is kind of like my signature now on quite a few of my pictures, but I have to be careful. If I were the kind of person who entered art shows and I wanted to enter a transparent watercolor show, I could not enter this. This is opaque. But what I could do is I love to just do something like this and just scribble. Last thing I do is just a scribble.
Do you ever wet them? Do you just leave them dry?
Yep, that's what I was just going to show you.
Sorry.
Now, that's okay. Now, I can take a brush, and like when I travel, I have a smaller thing of these, and I take them with me, and they're, you saw the one, this is the 40 size, this is 30. I have them out there in 15s and 10s, and I just don't leave town without these. So I just have my little box and I put those little broken shapes of all my favorite colors. And a lot of times when I'm just sitting and I'm kind of bored, I actually paint with these. Because every color here can be activated and you can paint with it. It's really cool. They're very high quality. That's the good news. They're very high quality. So you can either activate the colors you've already drawn on, or you can activate the crayon itself and paint with it. So here you can see I decided to put that light blue accent in with the purples. And on this one, I thought it would be kind of fun to take some of these, again, the blue-green. And this would be another way that David could really pop his if he wanted to. I'm not saying you should do it, but you could actually really pop where your leaves got so similar in value to the background. He could have just drawn in the background, see, with the crayon, because it is going to be, it's, you know, it will lift, not lift, but it will create a beautiful contrast. And then this one I also sprayed that white webbing spray on it, and I usually like the gold better. I've never used the white. I just happened to look on the shelf and I went, oh my gosh, we've got a white webbing spray. I gotta try it. So there is a white one out there if you want to try it. So now on my picture today, I was thinking about this possibility. Like, see, this would be a really kind of cool color accent. I could stay with what's here. This is very close to what's already here. I could go with white. White always works. I could go with the green because the greens are in here. And there are so many choices. This is actually remnants of bigger sets that I've had. So you can see the many, many choices I have here. Here's another kind of interesting, ooh, I like that one. I guess that is the same thing. Here's another one that would be like a darker. I usually like to go lighter with these. And I think this is just a little bit too neutral, so is this. I think I'm gonna go with this bright green. So just for a little fun, I'm just gonna come in and do a little coloring. And I'm just going to, see, like some of these edges that get to be a little demanding, if I come over them with this, see, it just leaves little remnants of it. Why don't I get in closer so you can see what's happening here? But see where it's kind of busy? I can just color away some of this. And then I can go to the other side. Always bookend it. And carry a little bit of it over there. Actually, I kind of like it. You can see how rough. This is really, you can hear it. The drum. And then if I want to, I can also wet this. If I feel I really want to hide this a bit, see, I can just take it and wet it and soften it a bit and cover it up even more. It's like a thin veil of color that I've just put over it. But now now that I've done this, I've got to think about, okay, how am I going to pull this through? So I'll probably just play here, come down here, and I might put some of this lovely green in here. Switch over here. Pull some of it here. Cover up some of the lumps. Maybe over in here again, I've got some lumpy collage paper here. I might just come in and do a little bit in here, cross over, come up here. So you can see it's just like going back to grade 1. You remember getting that box of 64 crayons? Oh man.
Love it.
I remember that so well. It was the coolest thing. Thanks, Mom. So I actually do like this. And then of course I would do some scribbles. Definitely gotta have a few scribbles that cut over everything. And I might even come in and color this a little bit. So what happens is, when you paint as many pictures as I do, I don't want to give up on anything. I don't want to give up. And so when something, I've tried everything, I mean, I just go for it all. I do the crayons, I do the watercolor pencils, I add more collage, I spray something over it, and when all is lost, I give it to my friend Sandy, and I have a little cottage industry. She comes in 2 days a month, and she cuts up all my old dog paintings, and those cards that we sell for $5, that's my hottest seller in the gallery. And they're my old dogs cut up. So they're originals.
Yeah.
She can make about $65 worth of cards out of one old dog. And you know, that's just kind of fun. And she loves to do it. It's a very creative kind of job to have. And she's got her own space up there, her own table, her own little corner. And she just comes in and has so much fun. And the fun thing is, she does all the gluing and pasting and matches up the colors with these decorator cards that have a decal, matching decal edge. And I get to sign them, like I made them.
That's very
All I did was produce the old dog. So one day I said, Sandy, you are such a creative person. And these cards are so beautiful. So we have a joint signature.
cool.
Sand car or car sand or something, so that she now is getting recognition and both our names appear on the card. Because I think what she's done is also really important. So this really kind of is bringing this to a fairly close resolution. I think I'm still going to pull in a few more darks and add some more details into this vine. I might have some branches coming off the vines. I'll probably provide some kind of support system for these grapes, a dark, you know, the kind of thing we saw here, some dark shapes that will come in and connect them together. And so what I'd like to do now is to look at your pieces and give you some suggestions or just admire the beautiful results. So could you bring your pieces up, please? Oh, this is off to a great start. I love her color choices. The green and purple together are beautiful. And the look at these. Oh my gosh, that's beautiful. You were getting worried about your grapes.
Really worried.
You thought you were getting carried away, but I like it.
Okay.
And so lifting out a few more, I think this is going to definitely tie it together. And I love the idea of the breakout with the wet into wet and then the wet on dry. So can't wait to see this one finished. Thank you. Ooh, and look at this.
Yeah, that's colorful.
Oh, Jody, tell us what else is going to happen here.
I like the music.
Well, I think I'm going to do some of that straight line stuff that you did on yours
Oh, good.
too, because I've got a couple of pieces of the collage paper that line up.
Excellent.
And I really do like the idea of the crayons. I think that I'm gonna finish.
I think this one would really come. You're welcome to take my crayons.
Oh, I've
home.
got crayons.
Oh, you got your own
I
crayons.
got my own crayons.
I would hope so after 20 years. But isn't this wonderful? The light against dark, dark against light. I do like the layout of her leaves very much and the variety of the sizes. And this is fun. haven't done any of this. But believe me, if you're standing under a grapevine, there are tons of these tendrils. And I forgot to tell you one of my cute tricks. You just actually take some of this gauze and you put it in with your wet paint and get the gauze wet. See that? Oh, this is so cool, you guys. You just get your gauze wet with the color and then you twist it into a tendril and lay it down, and it'll transfer that tendril
That's a neat
shape.
idea.
And you can do that anytime. When you're all done with your picture, you can pull a little gauze, twist it into a tendril, and you need to dampen the surface, put the tendril on it, and leave it on there till it dries. But that would be kind of a fun ending. But this, you can also just draw it in.
I like the way the grapes are coming out.
Oh, I do too.
Yeah.
And look at how nice with the highlight added. That's beautiful.
I mean, these ghost grapes on this one side are still much fun. On the right lower side, the ghost grapes.
The ones at the bottom?
Yeah. I mean,
Are
they
these
just-
the ghost grapes?
Yeah,
They're ghost grapes.
ghost grapes.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I do like
They're in
those.
that light area, and so,
Yeah.
And remember the Q-tip, this will all clean
Yeah.
up real easily.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Nice. Oh, this is, oops, are you gonna read it, Sean?
Oh, I was gonna hit his back, but
Oh, you're sweet. This is Don's, and it's really looking wonderful. And remember, we looked at this earlier, and he took off we took off this, and now he's added this. Now, I would wet that, I'm not gonna do it, but
Okay.
I would wet that so that it gets darker.
Okay, okay.
And
Especially around
maybe
the
even,
edges,
yeah,
yeah,
and maybe even add just a little bit of dark, especially around the edges.
Okay.
But saving some of the lights.
Okay.
And then this is going to be connected, this will be connected onto your lovely stems that you guys can't see, but I can, ha.
So
But he's
these-
got some
so-
wonderful stems coming through here.
So these leaves are still awfully light.
Remember, all you have to do is wet them.
Even more, okay.
Yeah, just wet them, especially like the one behind.
That'll be easy, yeah.
And if you just wet it, see that color is still soft enough that you
Okay.
can actually pop it out.
Okay,
But I wouldn't get too excited about losing all that white.
okay.
I would actually develop your darks and your stems and make that the last thing you
Okay,
do.
okay.
But I really like his color choices. I love the lost edges, that he's controlled his underpainting so beautifully with a lot of lost edges. It's a great beginning here. And this is fun. We have Kirsten's, oops, wrong way. So this is just a little quarter sheet, and it's the first time she's done anything like this. And so she didn't get as dark as I was hoping, but she's done something that's really unique. She's created this vignette style, which she likes. So when it happened, she just went with it. So these lovely edges, some hard, some lost, and some hard. I think it's really cool. And I like the way she's handled her grapes. I might have to stop at the grocery store tonight and get some grapes. This is starting, I'm starting, especially on this one, my mouth is starting to water. Good job on those grapes, Kirsten. So it'll be really fun. Again, are you gonna put a vine in this, or are you just going to kind of pull it together with darks?
I don't know. It's got up at the top,
These guys.
it's got that, and if I could follow, I'm thinking about following that.
Yep, you know, this would be a great idea with this, just to add, get that gauze and wet it and transfer those a little darker, because I like the irregular line that it
Yeah.
creates. And I think if you would just poke out some darks, linking like the grapes to the darks, and then just losing the edges, but leaving these edges intact.
Okay.
I do like your lost vignetted edges, very strong. Oh, this one worked out really nice.
Wow.
Aren't those gorgeous? Very, very
there's your
nice.
wine glass.
Oh, yeah. That's something else I might have to go home and look into. Oh, man. Now, one thing I've been neglecting here, I'm sorry, you have to look at these in a mat. Look at the difference. Isn't that lovely? So it really looks finished when you can put it in a mat like this. Nice job. Look at that stem. Interlock, 2 stems. Oh, I like it. she did a great job with those musical notes. She said music is part of her background. And so we have wine and music.
No cheese though.
Grapes, where's the cheese?
Yeah.
Cheese in mine. Did you
Get some of that?
I
The
some
mouse
cheese
got
right
it.
there. Would you like some? I'll give you some of my
So
Okay.
are you gonna, now, you're starting to really tie this together with the darks,
I'm trying to.
and I think you're doing a great job. This is kind of fun too, this little shadowy, emulating or simulating the shape of this. It's kind of fun. I think it worked out quite well.
So what more do I have to do now?
Not a whole
Should I?
bunch. I would probably watch this where it's too regular. It almost looks like a string of pearls or something.
I was trying to make them kind of falling off, but it didn't
Yeah,
really work.
but I would add like a few more grapes.
Uh-huh.
Maybe a grape that would break out a little bit. You could lift another grape over here. Just something to get away from the straight. These grapes are outstanding, really beautiful. And again, you could add a few more grapes if you wanted to. They're kind of similar in size. And this would be nice, just a bigger, you know, this is kind of a lean grape year. I think you should have a few more grapes here.
I'll give you my
A little more bountiful.
That works. That is really nice. I like the colors.
These are so fun. And here we have a third, which I love, and it's a third as vertical or horizontal. So look how nice this is. Some really great colors here. Nice job.
I was gonna say it's upside down, but it isn't.
I was questioning it too, but I can see now that it's in the proper space. So isn't this nice? This is Marcia's, and she's got a beautiful contrast with her leaves. This is really tying it together. It's just dancing through stops and starts and stops and starts. I do even a few more over here.
Quick finished.
I like the crow.
What's
yeah.
Oh, right,
the
yeah.
what?
The
The
crow.
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 Oh, the crow. Oh my gosh, now we've got,
You hit a button.
I know. Now we've got wine and crows and grapes and cheese.
And cheese.
This one's got cheese.
Crows like grapes.
All
There
right.
you go.
Got everything.
Isn't the lettering cool?
Yeah.
I think it really is a nice addition. But I'm especially happy with the contrast, having the dry paper to stamp and then wetting it and getting really a nice dark contrast. Good
Yep.
job.
That's the darkest colors I think I've ever used.
Really?
Really?
You
yeah,
really pushed yourself.
I did.
And you didn't even know what was under there when you did it. It was a miracle.
Yes.
Oh, and we've got another fun one here. Erin, oh my gosh, you have had a fabulous week. Look at that. Now I love what Aaron does. He takes risks. And you can see, oh my gosh, this is pretty dirty, but the least I can do is show the best side. This is very unusual composition with these big shapes at the bottom pointing up, and these shapes pointing down. They're kind of facing off here. And we've got, the movement coming through the center, the suggestion of a, here it is, you can see it's dark against the light, coming out here, light against the dark. And I think he's still got more development that he's gonna come in. What else are you gonna do?
More dark.
More dark. Wow, I didn't expect that. This is really a beautiful contrast. Isn't that exciting? And I like the way he's handling his grapes. I really do. I'd like to see some grapes maybe crossing through here. This is sort of cutting the picture a little bit. So if you had something like the stem or the grapes or a dark shape, something crossing over would be nice. Give us a bridge.
Yeah, it looks like houses on either side of a river. It's kind of neat.
It is kind of neat, but his colors are outstanding. These really beautiful darks. And how fun to have our guest artist with us today. Look at this gorgeous piece. And this is David's. Really nice. He had a lot of problem solving to do and did a fabulous job. I do like the checkerboarding. You know what, this becomes like a weaving. Isn't that fun?
Yeah, it does.
You're interlocking, very rhythmical, very musical almost. The gauze is working. He's done what my hope is when people do this. Beautiful lost edges. And then found edges. So you're getting the hard edges, the soft edges. And look at this little interlocking thing. Oh gosh, is that fun? Little details like that really are entertaining for the viewer. And you know, you wouldn't enjoy this as much if this was busy. The fact that he's got these beautiful rest areas makes it a lot more enjoyable to enjoy the developed areas. So this is just excellent. And you know, it seems like the fewer colors you use, the more successful they are. The fact that this is a very limited color palette with a basically cool dominance, and we're ranging, this is what you call analogous colors. He's going between the purples and blues and greens. So it's just a lovely little slice right in here of the analogous colors, and gorgeous. What is this lovely color in here? Do you know?
Iridium?
Yeah, you were asking about that green, and I don't think I have Meridian, so I was playing with people's recommendation of a green, so I found what I thought was closest and put it on my palette. I don't know what it is. It might be a,
Forest?
Do you think it is an opaque color?
I almost thought.
It looks kind of opaque.
I don't think it's a phthalo green, but.
No, I don't think it's a phthalo either.
No.
But look at how subtly he put these grapes in. See, these are ghost grapes too. Absolutely lovely. So the ones closer to his center of interest are way more focal, and then as they move away into the rest area, even, see his hard edge even gets lost? Beautiful job. These hard edges become dissolved into the softness. Wow, what a great day, you guys. So very often when you get to the end, now this has had, you know, quite a bit of my personal time to make it work. And I would probably still spend another couple hours fussing over edges, and this isn't working yet. I would add some of that warm color. But one of the things that I feel would really help this a lot is to soften some of these areas that are a little bit loud and competing. Because a lot of this is very subtle. Then all of a sudden you got something like this with the Eiffel Tower spelled backwards. There's a little problem there. So this is a product that I've known about for a long time, and it's called Unryu, U-N-R-Y-U. It's only 10 grams, and I've had this for a long time, and what I do is I can build up a very thin veil of white. And I used to do this a lot. I'd take paintings. One of my lessons in the old days was to take paintings I didn't like. People were to come with an old dog. And then what we would do is we would layer over the areas we didn't like. So for example, this part here that's a little bit loud. Oh my gosh, it's really dirty. Sorry. This area is screaming a bit, and this is such a lightweight paper. All I do is put it down like this, and you glue it until all the white disappears. And you got to do a good job of gluing. And now I've gained these little you probably can't see it, I'll come in a little closer. But one of the things that's really nice is you get these little lines. See, there's little fibers here. And then each time you do this, if I glue another second time, this is another thin veil. So now it went. What's that?
Yes, paste.
Yes, paste. That's the glue I use, my glue of choice. Now you can't tell now, but when this dries, it clouds up. and it looks kind of nice. So like up here too, I feel I've got a little bit of kind of, remember I think putting that green over it was really nice. But over here now, it's just kind of, this ends, this starts. And so I'm gonna just glue this kind of over the whole thing. And see, the colors don't reactivate, isn't that cool? I can just do this. And I try to avoid any straight edges, so I rip it into little pieces that are irregular. I think I'll do a second one over that too. Now I've gained some little fibers. When this dries, I'll bring it back and show you that there's a little difference. Now be careful with straight edges like this. If you want a straight edge, this is cool. So like if I were developing a straight edge, I could put that along there. But right now I'm not. So what I usually do is I just pull this until it's all soft edges. And then I'm thinking that this is getting to be too much attention. So I'm going to partly defer some of this with just this little deal. And see, I can go on top of my crayons. So I'm adding now some slight fiber and a little white veil of color. I try to get these into different shapes. And if you don't get the glue to totally penetrate through here, what's going to happen is it's going to dry very white. Let me show you that again. Now if I just put this down, I'll put it on the dark area so you can see it, and I just go like this. See those little white areas? Those little white areas are going to dry totally white. So you have to press and make sure that that glue penetrates completely. See, now you don't see it at all. So you have to do a really good job of gluing. And another thing I was thinking about doing, this is what I used here. It's kind of a busy little pattern, but I kind of like this little pattern right here. And I was thinking I want to break up these perfect checkerboards. So I'm just thinking about putting a little bit of this in here. Kind of breaking through the corner. And I might put another one coming down. See, it's the same as that up there. So I got a little trail coming down here. This is silly, but this is stuff I love to do. And then here's some more lettering. I don't know if it'll show up, but I'm just going to put a little bit of lettering here. So some of you that have pieces of paper especially that you feel are just a little bit too noisy, you can layer this beautiful enroux over it. See, now here's a little straight edge that doesn't relate to anything. I'm going to break that up by adding these little broken shapes. I just got rid of the straight edge. And maybe this funny edge here that bothers me. But always be sure your glue is just like the consistency of milk, and get it I always use a flat brush, stiff synthetic press, and I try to get that to bond with the paper. So I hope you find that helpful. I've just got a little bit of finishing up to do on this. So first of all, I don't like the way this turns green all of a sudden, so I thought it would look nice just to warm that up with some of the burnt orange, which is in some of the other areas. So I'm just going to pull that in. I won't get rid of the green, but I will just make it say warm. And then just spread this out, because it always looks better when it's a lost edge. And then I think this edge up here needs just a little bit more identity, a little bit darker. So using my burnt orange and my Antwerp blue, which are the two colors I've done pretty much this whole thing, I thought it would look nice just to come in and go just a little bit darker. I want it a little bit greener. And this is, I'm painting now on collage paper. You never know what the collage paper is going to do. It's kind of fun. It's kind of scary too. Okay, so now I'm going to take that same dark and pull it across so that we're actually popping out the vine at this stage. And I think combining it with this dark would be nice. Over here too. So we'll kind of lose a little bit of that edge. Yeah, that's better. And then I'm going to think about popping this out just a little bit darker here as it comes out. And now my eye is searching, what do I want to make some adjustments for? Actually, I'm quite pleased with most of this. I love this beautiful dark right in here. I might just pop that a little bit more. Pick up that, come down here, pop it just a little bit more. And I like what's happened here with these pieces of unrue that I added. See, they're just getting, it kind of pushed back that backwards Eiffel, which I didn't need really badly. And I think this dark over here could come down just a little bit further. So I'm just taking that same combination of the Quin Burnt Orange in Antwerp and just pulling it down a little bit here. And then I'm just simply going to lose that edge. So we're actually really close to being done. This was really fun. And this is the crayon that I decided to come in and do a little crayoning, or you could call it scribbling, but I just like to keep that free look. And I'm thinking if I went just a little bit brighter here, we could pop out this leaf. Got a little bit lost. And maybe over here I could put a little bit of this green in here. You can see where the leaf, when it goes on top of a collage paper, it's easy to lose it. So I'll just pull that in a little bit. Pull her back. Down here a little bit. So that's what I do at the end. I kind of push and pull so that I'm getting the contrast of light against dark, dark against light. Maybe a little lighter here. And I love this bumpy up here. That was really fun. Pull it over here. And the only thing I have left to do that I can see is possibly just a little bit pushing some of the Quin Burnt Orange. I lifted on these grapes a little bit, and they look like they could use just a little bit more color. This one too, just a little bit more color. And especially this one, yeah. When you use that lifting with the acetate, sometimes it just brings it right back to the white of the paper. And I usually come in and go just a little bit darker on some of these grapes. Add just a little bit more color. In this case, I wanted them to be the golden grapes. So this is just pure Quin Gold right now. Here and there. And I believe we are done with the painting. Now, at the very end, it is important that you consider finishing this. And there's two choices. The two choices that I usually recommend when I'm working with just paper that's been stretched. So in other words, this is 140-pound watercolor paper, and it's been stretched over a frame. And if I want to present this without any matte or glass, I have to protect the surface. So the two choices that I know of are to give it about 5 coats of this Crayon UV resistant clear acrylic coating. Comes in gloss and it comes in matte. And I kind of like the gloss. It's just a little fine coating. You go outside to do it because it's very toxic. And I put the picture upright and just give it 5 gentle coats of this. The other thing you can do is this lovely Dorland's wax. And this is a really good product. It has all kinds of waxes in it, beeswax and so on. But it's a very quality item. And so what I do is I usually put a glove on because anything with petroleum industry products, best to protect yourself. So I put on a plastic glove and just dig this out. And it's just like a thick petroleum jelly. And you just literally smear it on. You can hear the bumps and it's wonderful. And I do have one of my tips tells how to apply the Dorland's wax. So if you want to watch that over again, it will give you even more details. Because what I usually like to do after I've given it a nice thin coating of this, I really, really like then heating it up with a hairdryer until it gets shiny. And then the shine goes away, but at least I know that that wax has been really pushed into the fibers of the paper. So there you go, a completed painting. Hope you enjoyed it. Bye-bye.